debate the Honourable Member for St. John South Mount Pearl.
Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to join the debate on this critical issue of employment insurance. I'll be sharing my time with the Honourable Member for Notre Dame de Grace-Lachine. This new bill, Madam Speaker, fails to provide any assistance for the vast majority of the 1.6 million unemployed Canadians who are looking to their federal leaders to make it easier for workers who have lost their job through no fault of their own to qualify for benefits during this crucial time of economic downturn. It does, however, succeed in doing one of the things at which this Conservative government excels. This bill divides Canadians. It divides unemployed Canadians, Madam Speaker, into two groups: those who are deemed to be deserving of assistance and those for whom this government has chosen to leave out. This politics of division has been the hallmark of this government, and is truly saddening that the members opposite refuse to set aside their political differences to address a national crisis of unemployment insurance. Instead, this government is showing how truly uncaring it is by further dividing Canadian workers. If a worker has been laid off once or more in the past 5 years, under this legislation it will fail to qualify for this new extension of benefits. Any worker who collected 35 weeks of EI in the past 5 years, such as seasonal workers or non-standard workers or long-tenured workers who lost their jobs earlier in the economic crisis, will be shut out of assistance by this government. Many of these workers have already faced challenges in their industries in recent years as the manufacturing sector has contracted, as government has failed to protect interests in the forestry industry, as jobs have been shed in the tourism industry. It simply doesn't make sense, Madam Speaker, to exclude workers who have been through a previous recent job loss in these chosen industries from this program. These workers who have been punished already now have this punishment extended through this exclusionary policy brought forward by this government. Consider the fact that we have so many seasonal workers, so many workers who are in fields and industries who would not meet the criteria to allow them to access this new proposal. 500,000 people have lost their job during this downturn, yet this Conservative proposal will only affect, according to this Conservative government, 190,000 people. What about the other 300,000 people the Conservatives are not helping under this program? What is this government trying to say to forestry workers, for example, who worked for 15 years at Abitibi-Bowater, who are now out of their jobs? Because these workers lost their job before a certain arbitrary date, they're simply left out. They're on their own, Madam Speakers, left to fend for themselves by this government, even though they are indeed long-tenured workers, workers who paid into the employment insurance program throughout their careers. Under this legislation, the government is preventing these workers from claiming money to support their families now when they need it most, and is just not right. It should not be surprising, Madam Speaker, given the track record of this government. An unemployed worker is an unemployed worker, and if these workers have paid into our system of employment insurance, they deserve to be treated the same, and they deserve to be able to access the benefits that should be available to them. And Madam Speaker, numbers of people have come out and spoken against this particular program and proposal by the Conservative government. For example, in my home province of Newfoundland and Labrador, President of the Federation of Labour called the proposed Conservative employment insurance changes inadequate and will penalize, this is a quote, will penalize the majority of the unemployed. Indeed, according to the Conservatives, these measures only help, as I said previously, 190,000 people, not all of the unemployed. Other reaction. For example, the Canadian Auto Workers President has said he described the reforms as crumbs for the unemployed, dismissing them as doing little to help the vast majority. Canadian Labour Congress President has called the reforms welcome, but notes that the measures announced won't touch most of the unemployed, including younger workers or mothers who worked part-time. Madam Speaker, I speak against the proposed changes because, Madam Speaker, I don't think they go far enough. Our party has made many recommendations to this government. We've worked hard over the summer. We've made this a big issue. We've basically encouraged, supported, pushed the Conservatives toward making some changes to the employment insurance program, but these fall far short from what we require, Madam Speaker. These just do not help enough people in times when, the economic downturn is really severely hurting many, many workers. These new restrictions on accessing employment insurance benefits create more divisions among Canadian workers instead of helping families who need support now. Canadians, Madam Speaker, really do deserve better. Thank you.
Questions and comments? The Honourable Member for Coady, Columbia.
Madam Speaker, I was listening intently to the member's speech. Obviously, she has done her research and has a number of very interesting quotes. I guess my quote would be, it's interesting in the 16 years that I've had the privilege of doing this job for the people of Coady, Columbia, is that the more things change, the more they stay the same. The change, of course, is the fact that we have become the government. What stays the same is the disconnectedness of the Liberals and the Liberal Party. I would like to ask this member if she would care to reflect on the fact that the regime under which the employment insurance system works was a creation, in fact, of her government. The fact that we are making some very concrete positive steps to do away with some of the more onerous and odious parts of the revisions that the Liberals did, and that we are getting 190,000 more people onto the benefit side of the program, surely she can see that this is an improvement. And other than the blind political ideology...
I would like to give the Honourable Member for St. John's South Mount Pearl to respond.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I thank my honourable colleague for his question. Madam Speaker, we've worked very hard as a Liberal Party to bring forward proposals to this government. We have pointed out over the last 6, 7, 8 months the required changes to the employment insurance system that would be inclusionary. That would include the unemployed workers, the 500,000 plus that have had difficulty in this economic crisis. There are 1.6 million Canadians that are currently looking for work. We want to help them. We are sincere in that. We've worked hard during the summer. We met repeatedly with the Conservative government on this issue, yet we weren't able to make progress. This is not a government that is open to actually assisting the vast majority of the unemployed Canadians. And it is difficult and it is very challenging. And when you have unions in this country coming out and saying it's not enough, it's not helping, then I think the government of our country should listen. Thank you.
Comments? The Honourable Member for Elmwood, Transcona.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. There are workers in my riding who qualify under this, who are not qualify under this bill. They've asked the legislation that removes severance pay from EI calculations. And my New Democratic colleague from Welland introduced just such a bill this year. Can the member opposite explain why members of her party voted against the bill that was so important to my constituents?
The Honourable Member for St. John's South Mount Pearl.
I think there are a number of proposals, Madam Speaker, that need to go forward to reform our employment insurance program. I think there are a number of things that should be done. That was why the Liberal Party of Canada was working toward having good discussions over this summer to come back to this Honourable House and to make some of the changes that are required to the employment insurance system. We have a crisis in our country. We have people that, through no fault of their own, they may have been long tenured employees, they may be short-term seasonal employees, they may be working mothers, as I indicated earlier. They deserve to have some of the changes into the employment insurance made. We were sincere in our attempt to do so. It is truly unfortunate that this Conservative government has not moved forward on those proposals. It's truly unfortunate that they are dividing the unemployed Canadians of our country.
Resuming debate, reprise du débat.